You are now listening to About That Business, hosted by Rom Wills. Rom Wills is an entrepreneur and personal coach who has helped people reach their fullest potential personally and professionally. Take it away, Rom.
Welcome to the Sunday morning simulcast with Rom Wills. Having gratitude. Now, I know I'll always talk about gratitude, but that's one of the most important things you have to have going through life. You have to be grateful for what you have. I have not one, but two stories. Right, the first one, about a week ago, this podcast is coming out on March 11th. On March 2nd, in where I live in Maryland, there was a massive blackout. I mean, it knocked out traffic lights, stores had to close. I mean, it was desolate. And on top of that, it was cold. We talking temperatures like in the 20s. And so, and that Friday, I had my sons and we had to sleep. It was cold in the place. I mean, we were sleeping in our regular clothes and stuff. That's how cold it was. And you only had so many blankets. And even then, I mean, you're talking temperatures in the home, maybe in the 40s. So it was freezing. But I remember even before that, talking with somebody. I said something to somebody. I said, well, in Puerto Rico, they've been some areas still without power since September. So even though it was an inconvenience, I really thought about, okay, I mean, they'll get the power back on, but, what about those people who go without power for a long time? And even in this area, our power came right back on the 3rd, that morning. We had a bad night, but it came back on, got the heat up and everything. But what about people whose power didn't get turned on for a few days? And then there was a storm on the 7th. And, some people got their power knocked out again. But I looked at it like it was a slight inconvenience, but I was still grateful, grateful that, I'm always sleeping in a warm place. Or just having the money to just get, have the clothes to wear when it was cold. And that was important. I had a lot of gratitude. And, when I mentioned some of that stuff to somebody, they just looked at me funny. I was like, well, it could be worse. Could be worse. And then there was something else, too. And it's like, it was something just around the middle of the week. I had a bad pain in my arm. I mean, in my shoulder, really. And I was like, damn, what the hell happened? And you checked out some stuff on the internet, and it was talking about rotator cuffs and all of this. There was several things it could have been. I could barely raise my left arm. And it was funny. I had to drive anyway, and I was driving with my right hand. Now, it's an interesting thing. When I drive, even though I'm right-handed, I usually drive with my left hand. But I couldn't use my left hand, so, it was kind of different driving. But I thought about some people who they might not have use of both hands driving anyway. I saw a clip about a man who he really didn't have hands. He was born without hands at all, yet he was able to drive a car with his foot. And you do get some people, I've met a gentleman whose arm had to be amputated, and yet he still drove his car. And I thought about it. I was just like, okay, this is a slight inconvenience, because whatever was going on with my shoulder, which turned out to be arthritis. Hey, I'm getting older. It was still, you still had to make do. Going through life, some of the stuff we take for granted, we need to be grateful for. If you're sleeping in a warm place, Be grateful for it. Where the power is running, a significant part of the world doesn't have indoor plumbing. Be thankful for it. A lot of people take it for granted until something happens. Because even with that power thing, there were some people, they were mad. They were like, I wish the power would come back on. But, for some people might not even have power at all. You got to have gratitude for what we do have, or just being able to drive or anything, or there's a lot of people, there's a lot of disabled people, who probably wish they could walk, who probably wish, their thought processes were the same as everyone else, because there's a whole lot of autistic children and adults out there. Be thankful for all that you have. Have gratitude and live life with gratitude. See, a lot of times, I think that one of the problems in this culture is that we become so entitled and so ungrateful because we don't have a contrast of not having it. So it's like when you have those situations where, you are inconvenienced by a power blackout, or, you briefly, I don't know, you could break your arm or something. You briefly don't have use of your arm, or sometimes even your feet. You could have a broken leg or something, and you're a driver. Be thankful that you do have those things. Even if you haven't experienced anything bad, you really haven't experienced too many blackouts, or maybe at all, especially during the inconvenient time, or, have your house burned down, or anything that could happen. Be thankful that it hasn't happened. Appreciate it. Always appreciate. Too many times people take things for granted and they don't appreciate what they have. Always appreciate what you have. Appreciate the people in your life. If you have a good mate, a lot of people don't have a good mate. Appreciate that. If you got somebody who cares about you, cares that you eat, cares that they take care of you, think about that. Think about that. I just did something on my Deep Thought channel about the nature of love. Be grateful that you have somebody who cares enough for you, just to care for you. I remember this dude, a player. It's a womanizer. And, he said, he would give all these women up if he had just one he knew really cared about him. And it's ironic. Some people would think he's living a life, but he's just like, no. Yeah, you getting some physical pleasure, but he wanted somebody for his heart. He wanted somebody who knew really cared for him. So if you got that, appreciate it. Have gratitude for it. If you got food in your fridge, have gratitude for that. There's some people that, even in this country, there are people who are starving. There's plenty of people. If you're healthy, if you're not on drugs or anything, be happy about that. Now, I know that's more of a choice between people, but then, some people have something within them that gets them caught up into addiction. So, you want to have just gratitude. Whatever you got positive going on in your life, you want to have gratitude for it. Appreciate it. Appreciate that you have use of both arms, if you do. And you know what? Even in situations where, you're going without power, you may not have use of all your limbs, things might not be the same as the majority of other people. You know what? Be grateful that you're still alive. Seriously, every little bit you got, be grateful for it. Focus on the gratitude, because it causes something in you negative in you if you focus on the bad things. Always focus on the good and be grateful for it. Be thankful. Whichever deity that you pray to, thank that deity every day. Seriously. And it's very important. It's very important. Seriously, that's one of the greatest things I've seen. When people have an attitude of gratitude, it does great things for them. So, anyway, That's it for today. Keep rising and transforming. Peace.